Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon.
That was poor. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good job. How y'all doing? Who's doing less than okay? All right. Who's doing okay? Who's doing good? Who's doing great? Oh, wow. Word. 3 people. Why are you doing great? Moses, why are you doing great? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'll tell you why I'm doing great. I'm doing great because I just got a lot of money. And then, no, not that a lot of money. It's a smaller amount, but it's still a lot, right? And I'm about to be getting another lot of big money. Not that amount, but it's still going to be a big amount. Not that. Less than that.
90?
No, man, not that much. Not that much at all. This is school refund stuff. So when you, free game, who plans to go to college? If you do go to college, sign up for a lot of financial aid. What happens is, I feel like I've told you this before, but what happens is when you sign up for a lot of financial aid, they use all of it they can to pay for your room and board, for your tuition, for your meal plan, for your parking, and then whatever you have left over gets put directly back into your pockets. So if you signed up for a lot, let's say your tuition is in state, so it's like $5,000. If you got $20,000 of scholarships, that means you get $15,000 in your pocket to do whatever you want with it. Right? That's what I'm getting back. That's what I just got back. So I get to have fun with my family and do all that other good stuff. That's why I'm happy. But today, we are doing rough draft papers. Okay? Yesterday, what did we do?
We did our story map then.
Story map, brainstorming, yes. What's the purpose of brainstorming?
To organize your ideas.
To organize, yes. But to understand, well, yeah, to organize, right? You can't build a house if you don't have the materials. Likewise, you can't write your paper unless you understand what you got to work with. You can't write a narrative, because we're writing narrative papers. You can't write a narrative without characters, without dialogue, without a narrator, without a point of view, without a setting, without colorful language, but we'll do that later. But those 5 things you really need. And so that was the purpose of yesterday, to help give you guys the bare minimum for us to write our papers. That's not my fault, is it? Okay, it's next door. So now, we're going to put those building blocks into action by writing a rough draft. Who's heard of a rough draft before? All right, everybody's heard of it. What's the purpose of a rough draft?
You said what?
What's the purpose of a rough draft? Well, let me ask you this. If this feels familiar to you, I want you to raise your hand. Your teacher tells you, hey, you got a paper to write. And then immediately after being told you have a paper to write, you start feeling anxious, you start getting, for lack of a better phrase, scared. Because you don't know what you're going to put in the paper. You don't know how long it's going to be. You don't know if it's going to be good enough. So you feel a little bit of dread, so you try not to do it. You procrastinate as long as possible before you actually have to do it. And as a result, your paper looks sloppily thrown together. If that sounds familiar, raise your hand. Yeah. I am a teacher. I still go to school for my master's. I still feel that dread sometimes. I don't want to look in the classroom, so when before opening it up, I'm like, let me play a few video games first. And then I play the video games. And I feel good until I realize, oh, it's actually time to do this assignment. And the fear didn't go away. Why? Because I hadn't addressed the source of the fear. The source of the fear was the paper I should have started. And so that's what this is. A rough draft is a very low stakes way for you to start getting ideas on paper that allow ideas to flow freely. If you're creative, raise your hand. Creative like you write things, you draw things, you create things, you make things. Hands down. The state of mind you want to be in as a creative is one called flow. Flow is where it doesn't take much effort to create something. Flow is where you have an idea and seemingly on its own, ideas come out of nowhere and it starts to make sense, right? Writing a rough draft helps you get there. A rough draft is low stakes. It's not going to be graded. Maybe graded for completion, graded to see that, okay, you actually did it. But as far as grammatical errors, as far as spelling, that's not graded, okay? The only purpose of a rough draft is so that you can get your ideas on paper, so ideas can flow. It's supposed to be messy. You're also supposed to skip lines. What's the purpose of skipping lines? Why would you skip lines on a rough draft?
So you can have space between the rewriting.
Exactly. In your case, you'll be writing on paper with a pencil, so you don't have to scribble things out. But that space is useful for me, because now I have space to where I can write a correction, and you don't have to look through your writing and figure out what the heck I'm trying to say. Okay? So it's supposed to be marked up, it's supposed to be messy. After you do the rough draft, then you start refining. And we'll get to that later. But today, if you have finished your brainstorming, I want you to take out a sheet of paper. And I'm going to write in big red letters with my red pen, rough draft. This is to make sure that you understand that this is low stakes. You don't have to stress. All you got to do is let the ideas come out. Okay? It's also let your parents know, okay, my baby's not being treated for this. I don't need to judge them super hard. Nothing's wrong. And it's also so that Dr. Leonard, Dr. Moses, and Ms. Gladney can see, okay, this is where they are in the writing process. It's not going to be super tight right now. Okay? So, please take out your brainstorming. Let me see it before I give you the okay to start doing your rough draft. Understand that even if you are a talented writer, I do not want you to start on the rough draft until I give you the okay. Okay? You may be able to do it. But what do you think I'm more concerned about? Do you think I'm concerned about your ability to do it or your ability to do it properly?
Ability
To do it properly. Okay? This way it's more consistent. You'll be able to make great paper after great paper after great paper. You won't look into it. Okay? So, let me see those brainstorms.